Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. On this episode, Avery Bennett joins us and shares information on his Meristem Crop Performance trials and what his hopes are. Locally in southeast Iowa, it rained a lot this week. How does weather like that affect crops long term? Ben shares lots of information on rain charts, growing degree unit and temperature maps, and photos of growth comparison on corn.
Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. Today we have Avery Bennett, local sales manager, and Dylan, our regular on Cup of Joe. And today we are going to get started with Dylan.
Yeah, so it seems like a lot of the local areas got a pile of rain. I would say more than the local area, maybe all over our sales footprint. So I'm guessing we will start to see some ugly looking beans, especially kind of in the low spots when it comes to the color of them. You can definitely tell already just driving by, and we're getting more rain as we record this too. So I think as we keep moving along through the growing season, we're going to start to see more yellow beans, and I think that's going to come from the lack of oxygen. As we keep going, or I guess to step back, like even last week in West Point, we've got like 7 inches of rain. It just didn't have any time to really kind of dry out at all. We just kept getting rains after rains, and so now the soil is starting to get waterlogged, and then where the area is in the soil, now it's pretty well gone. Now it's just all moisture, and so then we're getting the lack of oxygen on those beans, and they're not going to produce any nitrogen. It's just going to slow the plant down, and I think we're progressing really fast this year on growing degree days, and so I think we're going to have a hard time getting those beans to come out of it in the full potential like we would want to. So I think that's going to knock off maybe the top end, and hopefully we can stay still above average the way everything looks right now. But as we keep going, hopefully the rains will stop. It looks like we're going to kind of cool down too, so I don't know if that will, I'm sure it'll maybe play a little bit of factor on getting those beans to ramp up again. So
yeah, I would have to agree. I think we probably took the top cream off of the crop when it comes to some of those lower lying areas. 7 inches of rain in July in a 1 week period isn't something that we normally deal with. And who would think that we would be cussing rain, you know, in the month of May and June, you know, we always hope for those nice middle of July rains to help finish the corn crop off. But yeah, we're probably at a point where we talked about it last week with the corn. You were seeing some nitrogen deficiency, and then you lay all of this extra rain on top of it. Even after last week's recording, it just makes things a little bit more stressful on that crop for sure.
Yeah, and then to add on to the yellow beans too, I think we're gonna just driving up. Avery had a kickoff meeting in Riverside yesterday. Just driving up there, we got a lot of wind the night before, and so you see a lot of tangled beans. I think for the most part, most of them will be fine. They just need some time to get back up. They got a lot of wind and then rain to combat it with it. So I mean, I got a call yesterday going up, want to know if they're going to stand back up. They should be fine, but maybe in those really low spots along the terraces, you know, where you got a lot of water, those might not pop up all the way, but for the most part, they'll be just fine.
Yeah, it's interesting with either the small amount of rain, whether it be a couple tenths, or the large rains where you're getting 1.5 inches or 2 inches overnight. The beans do look mixed up. They do look like they're laying down, but then you go look at them in the afternoon when the sun comes back out. You can at least still row the 30-inch beans. The 15s are definitely probably tangled up to the point where you might not have been able to row them anyway at this point. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see too much yield loss from beans going down, but it's definitely a unique growing season. We always have somewhere, it seems like, in our immediate footprint here where we're fighting yellow beans, and who would have thought that this year we're fighting yellow beans in July instead of early June, late May. So Avery, you got your Meristem binder in front of you. What you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, that old country song, you know, rain makes corn, corn makes whiskey. What does rain make soybeans yield less, or something like that? You say it's taking the top end yield off there. And I think this leads into what I'm going to talk about here today. We say that the rain is taking the top end yield off, and I think that's going to make us very, unfortunately, excited to see how my full program Meristem trials that I have scattered around here in southeast Iowa do this year. I think we're going to maybe see that separation, feeding those plants throughout the season, mitigating stress, trying to do everything. I think we're going to definitely see that separate. And Alex will pop up a picture here that you can see to the line of the treated beans versus the untreated beans with the full program versus no program at all. You can see just the coloration of the beans tremendously, and also I think I have a picture from May 15th of just the root development of using that hopper throttle on that treated area. So like what I'm talking about, this trial is placed up by Packwood, Iowa, and I kind of wanted to talk about the rainfall that we've accumulated so far, and then go about what we're looking at in these pictures. Right next in this field, we have a weather station, and in April, we captured 3.69 inches of rain. May, we captured 3.07. June, we captured 5.29. And as of July, as of today, I saw it got the 1.6 inches from this morning. That's what we caught this morning there. In July, we've got 10.68 and counting. That's the favorite thing on Snapchat right now is day 47 of rain, or all the different rain stuff. Like you say, we're cussing rain out right now. So if you add all those together from the 1st of April to July 30th here today, we've caught 22.73 inches of rain at that field.
That is probably close to the yearly average.
That is a huge amount of rain. And so I think we're going to see, as the growing season goes on and as we finish up the season, we're definitely going to see that line amplify, like you talk about the yellowing beans on the untreated stuff, and as we mitigated the stress with the full program. And like what we're talking about, the full program, I'll go through our treatments on this field. And it's an 80-acre field, and we split it in 40 and 40. So it's not small plot. It is a 40 and 40 split up. So it's going to give us yield data overall. On April 6th, we took a sprayer in there, and we put our excavator AMS down. It had some residue, but not a lot. But I wanted to do the full program, so we did the excavator AMS on April 6th. We came back on April 15th and planted. And we put the Revline hopper throttle soybeans with ether on it. Then on our post application, we did our home stretch harvest shield complete. We did not do the early season PGR. I guess we just didn't. Farmer didn't want to, so we pulled that out. And then and that was April 19th or May 19th, May 20th, I think is when that got its post application on it. And then at fungicide application, we had the home stretch in KBS, and then Revline late season PGR put on it. And then I think this picture was done, July 16th is when I got the photo taken with the drone to the line. So May 15th, I have a photo of the little roots, and you can see that, larger amounts on the treated beans versus the untreated beans, and then you can see the line, the coloration. And so I think, give it another 10 days and we'll get back out there. Unfortunately, the farmer's like, hey, let's go dig up some plants, but I don't feel like walking through mud. I told him I'm on vacation for about 10 days. So I'm really excited about these trials, and I think with the stress and the it's been a perfect year. I mean, a lot of rain, so corn's going to be phenomenal this year. But when it comes to soybeans, they like it a little bit drier. We got to have that nitrogen fixation happening down in the soil, and we've just been waterlogged. And so I'm really excited and hoping to see that this full program approach separates itself, and see what we get over those 40 acres.
Yeah, so. And when you're looking at the color, the difference in the color between the two applied plots, what I see there is typically nitrogen and sulfur play the game when it comes to your darker green color. There's some manganese and some other nutrients that'll help keep those plants green. But the excavator has been proven by the University of Illinois to release a 10-30-30 equivalent of nitrogen. So that would be NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So you're getting a little bit of extra nitrogen that's being released from the fodder at the time when those beans need it. You have the nitrogen fixing different fungi and bacteria that are in the hopper throttle. So what you're doing is you're actually making more available nitrogen and sulfur for those plants in an earlier time frame, which is very, very good. So I'm really curious to see how that turns out, and I'm sure it's going to be a positive response, because when you can see color differences, obviously the big the big deal on soybeans, what makes the difference between a good crop and a phenomenal crop is the late July, early August rains, as long as they're not too much, you know what I mean? But all these little incremental things that we do during the season to reduce stress, to keep flowers on, and to promote root growth are going to help when the time comes, when stress comes. So,
and we talked about down beans, and I have a field over there in Illinois of my in-laws. They have 15 years of corn on corn with hog manure putting down, and we planted that for beans for the first time, and I knew they were going to go down, and all this rain allows them to get tall and big, and it's going to be a mess, but it's going to be exciting to see.
Yeah, and there's some work that was done on the Revline early season, where you go, a 2 or 3 or 4x rate of that early season product, that you can actually shorten those beans up. So we have some of those corn on corn fields too that I would like to do some experimenting on, because I do not like tall beans. It seems like the shorter, more compact beans definitely get through drought better, and they don't waste any energy on putting nutrients to the stems and leaves. It all goes to the pods.
Yep. Yeah.
So if only there was just an easy Palisade option like we have for wheat, but there's not.
Yeah.
So that takes us to, or anything else on that, Avery?
No, I mean, let's just turn the spigot off, please, for a bit.
Yeah.
Let us dry up so we can actually go walking through fields.
Right. So I wanted to go over a couple different things that is actually really closely related to what you guys have been talking about so far. So I pulled this up from Ag Weather, which is Nutrien's weather page. It's ag-wx.com, and you type in on the home page, you type in your zip code, and it pulls up a map. So 52658 is Weaver, Iowa, which is where I live. That's the weather map, and it talks about a few different things at the top of the list. But as you can see in this data here, we actually had been trending up until about a week and a half ago. We were trending below average rainfall by 4 to 5 inches, and now we have exceeded that rainfall because of all of the rain that we received in the past 10 days. So we are now trending above trend line for moisture, so we should definitely have plenty of subsoil that's there. One of the other things that I like to watch up here is the next 7-day total GDU count. That is at 136, and we'll keep that in mind for a conversation that's coming up here. I wanted Alex to throw up this picture, and I had to steal this one directly from a YouTube video because I couldn't figure out in the time frame that I had here. Guys are talking about how this corn crop is progressing faster, and they're a little bit nervous that the top end yield has taken off of the corn crop, and they're wondering, it's July 26th and my corn has already started to dent, and what does that look like into years that we've had in the past. And we can pull up from this ag weather module here. You can go to year-to-date GDUs, and if you look back at where we are at, we're just a tick above average right now for the 20-year average. And most people would say that's not that big of a deal, but where we have accumulated the heat is basically in this month of basically July, starting the end of June into where we're at now. We have been running above trend line for the GDU accumulation, and part of that comes from having warm overnights. And I want to throw this picture up that I stole from Snodgrass's Monday morning, I believe, his podcast or his YouTube video that he did. And when you're looking at this picture, it is the average low temperature ranks by climate district. So this is low temperatures at basically nighttime temperatures. And when you go from basically the state of Iowa through the state of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, from June 19th till July 27th, this is how we rank out. And here in the Southeast Reporting District for Iowa, we are the 10th out of the last 133 years. It's the 10th warmest in that time frame. You don't have to go very far east and you're looking at the third warmest or the first warmest or the second warmest, and that is where a lot of our GDU accumulation is coming from, which isn't necessarily all that great for corn yield, because that corn plant wants to reset overnight, and it doesn't necessarily like temperatures that are 73, 74, 75. Elwin Taylor's number that he had said that basically every night in the month of, I believe it was July, or every night, sometime in the pollination or post-pollination that we're over 73 or 74 degrees, it's a bushel per day lost. And we've had a handful of those that are starting to add up. The good news is that we've had a lot of moisture with this, so I think that's probably going to be mitigated. I don't think we're losing the full bushel per day that we're over that 73 degree mark, but we are progressing faster. So I went back to my pictures and I looked at the first picture here on the left is our 2413 last year, planted at it would have been April 13th or 14th time frame, and you can see that we're in what I call that pre-dent, where you start to see you're coming out of milk, you're just going right into pre-dent, where not all the kernels are dented, but they're definitely getting started. That picture was taken August 7th of last year, and then I pulled some ears this Monday on July 28th, which Monday or Tuesday, and you can see the field or the three kernels on the left would have been a 13th planted. This is our 2512, so they're not perfect comparison, but we're just kind of in that same stage on July 28th. So you're kind of looking at a 7 to 10 days where we're kind of running ahead of schedule, and I think that's because of our overnight warmer temperatures that we've been experiencing, and we don't like to see that because we try to stretch out our grain fill. The more days that we have in grain fill, and the more days between pollination and black layer that we have, typically it means a lot more yield. And when I go back to the video recording on what's going on the screen, you can see when we highlight 2024's last year GDUs, we're definitely ahead of those. A lot cooler overnight temps. And then when I highlight 23s, that comes in below there. We've had two phenomenal corn years behind us. And when I go back to 22, it's even below that. 22 is a pretty decent year for corn yields. And then when I go back to 21, that's even lower than that yet. So when I'm looking at all of this data and we're seeing these overnight highs or overnight lows that are warmer than average, we are pushing this corn crop along a little bit faster than what I'd like. But the good news is I think we're going to slow that progression down, because it looks like the 7 to 10 day and the 10 day to 2 weeks looks like we're going to be well below average. We're going to see highs in the 80s, lows in the 60s, and most guys will have been through pollination by that time frame. So that's going to buy us a little extra time. And to put numbers behind that, the next 7 days is 136 GDUs, and I believe I looked it up. Yes, so there it is. The next 7 days is 136 GDUs. Last week we accumulated 188 GDUs. So 50 GDUs less, which would be about a third of that, a little more than a third of that number, we will be accumulating less, which is going to buy us more time for fill. So we're not on this steep incline that what we have been looking at. So I think that's definitely going to help. And one of the other things that I wanted to note and mention, we do have this accumulation of GDUs that's higher, but one of the other things that I think that why the corn price and the soybean price is so depressed is what the grain traders are looking at. And there's a link to this NASA USDA site that Alex is going to put up that you guys can kind of click around this and do this at your leisure. But what I'm going to do is admin level 1 here on this website, which basically gives us state by state. If you go admin level 2, it gives you county by county. So if you wanted to look at where your NDVI maps are at, or how green your geography is based on a county level, you can definitely poke around and see where you are at compared to years in the past. So I'm going to go Iowa. Right off the bat here, it's going to give me a plot for how green we are now compared to what we've been in the past. And you can see here we are actually at record high NDVI amounts for the state of Iowa. And that just means that things are greener. We don't have any drought stress anywhere in the area that would pull that color margin back out of it. But we can add the state of Illinois. Still at record. We can add the state of Missouri. Those are our 3 primary selling regions that we work in. And we are record levels for those three states that we're looking at. So yes, we have hot overnight temps. Yes, we have corn that's progressing along a little bit faster, but we have some of the greenest vegetation and the greenest crops that we've ever looked at. So just kind of something interesting to poke around and look at.
Yeah, I don't use an NDVI chart here. I just look at my grass and see how many times I mow it a week. And you know, last year I remember I was like, it's once every 7-8 days and I was mowing. Now it's twice a week for old Avery here. So I saw the John Deere rep about that autonomous mower this morning, and now I'm all about it.
Yeah. So those are a couple of the things that I wanted to cover. I wanted to, just talk about some of the things that are on our mind here. And I guess without, I put you in charge of the corny joke, so We'll get out of here with a corny joke.
Perfect.
And keep on moving.
Yeah, the joke of the day or whatever is, we got West Point Sweet Corn Festival coming up here this week, so it's a big event for here locally, and I just, what's better than just using some corn jokes? So let's see if I can find one here. I'm only gonna do 2. Oh, which ones did I have? Here we go. We talked about rain, so this is a good one. What did the cornfield say when he heard the rain coming?
No idea.
Sounds like music to my ears. Get it?
Corn has ears.
Corn ears. I don't know if it's music to our ears anymore, but yeah. Oh, here we go. What did the baby corn say to the mama corn?
No idea.
Where's popcorn? So that's how we're gonna end there.
Good thing Joe is back now.
Yeah.
Good thing Joe is back next week for sure. So, well, we appreciate everybody tuning in, whether it be YouTube or podcast or on Facebook or any of our media platforms. And hope you found a little bit of information out of this. And we'll catch you next week.